Hey guys, and welcome back to Untier Talk. This is going to be a lovely podcast because Hijad's not here yet. We're just going to start it now and wait for him to show back up and be like, "Hey, why'd you guys start without me?" But that's okay because we have another Brit. Hijad is not here, but we have Tasker.
Hello. Yeah, headshot is H-bad.
Yeah, he's bad. We have to record at like we have a very small window of time, just bad schedules with Hijad's work and my school and whatever. So, but Tasker, you're the news of the podcast anyway.
Okay.
I heard something big happened to you.
Yeah, kind of big. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, the PU tier leaders is a step up, you know. How do you feel about it right now? What or not right now? Like right when you got it, what were your thoughts?
Well, obviously, like I was really excited. Like, and I honestly don't think I was really expecting it. I guess, but yeah, I'm just like excited to not to help everyone in the tier and like help PU push forward and try and make get the word out there about PU because it is quite a fun tier right now. I'd say so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's exactly how I felt. So I can't really add on more to that. It's identical experiences pretty much.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of like tier leader-ish stuff. We haven't had any big announcements since that really. So, but things are gonna get real spicy, real fun. PU promotion. I can't wait. Yeah, I thought this. I was like, let's just make this Untier talk about Tasker's promotion, get him on, and then I realized like, there's not that much. Just like obviously PU tier leader, huge deal, doing a bang up job. You have been doing a bang up job, so that's awesome. But aside from saying, hey, it happened and it's fun, like there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, like not much really. Like this has changed, but apart from the actual promotion, but I'm sure in the future.
No, yeah, I mean, this is just a slightly slow time. There's not a ton of admin stuff, and obviously we're planning a few things that you know about that we can't talk about just yet. But that's not starting for another, what is it, a month now ish, I think.
A month.
Yeah. I think I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Yeah, I think it is a month.
Sorry, we're not very good at being like wink wink. You're gonna have to wait.
That would be fun actually.
Anyway, what's been going on outside of that? So, geez, we're gonna have to basically shove all this into like the next 10 minutes because we can't record for very long. It's just one of those days where like we want to do a weekly thing, and I definitely wanted to have you on now that you're cheerleader, but not a great time. We updated the VR like a week ago, exactly a week ago, actually, a week ago today. And normally we like to talk about those. People like enjoy that from the feedback I've been getting.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up now.
Yeah, I linked it in the thingamajig.
Yeah.
So we did a lot. We did a lot of like tiny changes, a lot of tiny drops of things that just aren't as good anymore, and then we just like completely demolished A+. And they just like the A ranks in general. We kind of just went in and just shifted a ton of stuff around. Which change do you think is like the most significant and controversial here?
Probably Dojo, because I've seen a couple of people still saying like it's broken or whatever, and like that moved down from A+ to A. But I feel like people now have actually been using it, and I've just realised it's kind of underwhelming. Like in theory, it's a lot better than it is in practice.
Yeah, there's
people don't really get that.
Not just in theory, but like at the building stage, there is a lot of pressure applied. You really have to be like, oh God, I need to On paper, it's like I really got to think and I got to add like a Regirock to every team and a Caracosta to every team and whatever. And yeah, I agree. That is how it works at the building stage. But then in practice, you can actually watch like all the circuit games, and Dojo is good, but it's not like super overpowering or impossible to switch into. It gets chipped. It doesn't really sweep on its own. It's just a solid mod. It's not crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I think another significant one was like Aurorus as well.
Yeah, honestly I thought more people were going to complain about Auroras or something. Like, I guess people have gotten used to the idea that it's still another like great mon that's impossible to switch into, but in practice, it's just not like as oppressive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, if you look at teams, I really think Ice Resist has got a little bit worse. People just slap like Jellicent on our Togedemaru as their Ice Resist, and that's it. I think the main reason it dropped was just due to Specs Jellicent being able to come in after
Yeah,
and do its thing. But
Jellicent
Scarf
just makes
Aurorus is
everything
pretty good.
different. I agree, and it's definitely one of the mons I could see. Like, if people start abusing it more and it just picks up, it could probably just rise back up, and that'd be fine. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with the little like drop down, drop back up, drop up, drop down, move back up next time. For my money, though, I definitely think if the Stoutland moving up over them would have been like the thing that people are maybe a little what on, because for Stoutland to be an A plus and Dodrio and Auroras to not make the cut, I think is really the most clear way the council could say that. Just look at actual replays, and this is like the more strong, consistent, and stupid wall breaker. And I still get people being like, Stoutland's not all that great.
Well, with Stoutland, it kind of does the Dodrio thing, but it's a lot more reliable. Like, it doesn't take as much chip as Dodrio would, and it's bulkier and take a hit. And
Yeah.
also, although you have to predict, whether they're going to switch into Aqua or whatever, I feel like it's still a lot more reliable in doing its job for wall breaking.
Mm-hmm. It is very weirdly reliable mon, considering we had it ranked really low at the beginning of the generation because we thought that like it just couldn't necessarily break through things like Regirock anymore. But it really doesn't matter if they have Regirock. And
Yeah.
again, I keep pointing to like checking out the seasonal replays is something people really should do. They're not all great. They're not all amazing. In fact, we'll get into some games not being great soon. But I feel like this drop is something that actually got solidified by replays that have happened since then. Like I feel stronger about everything I've said now. Watching replays, watching Aurora be not as good, and watching Stoutland be like an A plus mod and all that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because you see in some of the replays, like, obviously you see less Aurorus and like more Sunslash, and like it's basically a lot of the rises and drops, I think, kind of are based on it.
Mm-hmm. Where the hell is Hajad? Jesus, he was supposed to be back. Anyway, I guess the one other thing, real brief, because it's a current nomination. There was a little bit of a post recommending that Jellicent drop from A plus and drop to A plus from S. And in the room, at least, it got a not insignificant amount of support. That it argued that Jellicent is a very strong mon, but it's just really inconsistent, I think, was the main point that Katut was making. It was Katut, right? Yeah, okay. Katut made the post. Jellicent is good, but it's not S rank worthy. It's not ultra viable. It doesn't run as many sets as Mesprit and Skunk, but Jellicent doesn't have Jellicent doesn't have that one set that you can use more or less everywhere. Specs relies on too many predictions. It kind of centralizes team building, but more often than not, it just doesn't do anything. So that makes it kind of similar to Stoutland and Lilligant. Personally, I just don't agree with that sentiment. I don't think there's ever a match where Stoutland, Dillon, and Lilligan just do absolutely nothing unless it's an incredibly, exceptionally awful matchup. I don't think Jellicent is on their level either, though. I think it is always going to be extremely useful, and at the very least, will cripple something hard. And it's so good, not just at wall breaking, but even if Jellicent isn't the best wall breaker in a matchup, it's really good for setting up your game plan. Jellicent can force things like choice lock pursuit trappers to come in and give you setup opportunities. It can trick things and cripple things and just burn things and be really annoying to take down. And it makes it really good to set up other Pokemon, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I do agree that Jellicent shouldn't drop, and I think the fact that it has got a couple of different stats means that it is a better mon, and like pretty much every matchup is going to do something useful. Like it never really just gets sent out to die.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something there it can do. And like the fact that it does false 50-50s is another point where like it hasn't got any specific like oh, this is a perfect switching, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other mons do. Like with Jellicent, when I'm team building, I always have to find a couple of things. So like say like a normal type or a special defensive grass type. Obviously get to kill by ice beam as well, but
I do think people sometimes underrate how easy to switch in to Jellicent is at the same time. It's not super easy by any means, but we definitely have options for teams, both with offensive pressure and with defensive pressure, more than people who sometimes say, oh, the only switch in is fucking Roselia, goddamn, or other Jellicent. No. I also think, if you remember Katut versus Teddy from the PU Ladder Tour finals, the game one of that, I just pulled that up because I realized it kind of made my point for me. We analyzed it on Untier Talk last week, and you can kind of see in the game, like Teddy's Stoutland does an enormous amount of work. It like takes out a Mudstale really early. It gets like, yeah, then it chips the Wheezing, and then it gets another kill. It chips Sandslide. Like it gets a lot of kills, puts a lot of pressure, does a lot of damage. But Teddy still lost because Stoutland was just kind of getting kills for the sake of getting kills. It's doing its job as a wall breaker, but never really playing into any kind of larger plan. And I feel like whenever you use Jellicent in that capacity, it's always a very directed mon where it will set up for something else on your team by virtue of what it's doing. I still think I'm explaining that bad, and a lot of people will probably just disagree even if they did get it. But Hajad!
Hey, Shansia.
Hello?
Hey. We started.
Awesome. Is Jellicent banned yet?
No, actually, we've been talking about the nomination for Jellicent to drop. What do you think?
Oh, Jellicent should be banned. Don't drop it.
So
I don't agree with that either, but go on.
No, I think that was all he had.
Oh.
I actually think his mic cut out.
Is he coming in?
Oh no, he'll be back. It's okay. It's okay. We're only going to do another 5 minutes or so. I did want to hit the seasonal. Normally we record these on Mondays, so the next round of seasonal would be up, but we're doing it early, and still just round 4. We said last time that we'd kind of hit the seasonal games that were going to happen because there were a lot of hype matchups. You had Katut Zigaboo, you had you versus Teddy, Tasker versus Teddy, that is, J-Mash versus Pepe, Hajad versus Slowbroth, and then like a lot of these series are hidden out of nowhere where normally people necessarily don't always hide replays, and then a lot of the series just kind of weren't great too. Like you versus Teddy was kind of just a dumb hacks fest. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, this Jed.
I've returned. I was just going to say that when I disconnected from the chat, it said that we were on the 1st of January, 1970.
What? Discord, please.
That's the time that it said. You know how long it usually says on Discord how long the call has been going for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, let's say, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, for me it said the 1st of January 1970. I'll show you. Hold on.
Holy shit. I thought this was going to be the shortest Untier talk, but it turns out this is going to be the longest Untier talk ever. Whoa.
It's been going on for 48 years.
Oh my god. All right, I need to link that in the description.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me make a note of that. Okay. So yeah, like there's not actually a ton to talk about. Pepe versus J-Mash. Pepe kind of brought weird shit. A weird team. I mean, they're teams that win for him, but J-Mash like didn't get bopped by the really weird stuff. You had Zugabo versus Katut, where Zugabo just axed the shit out of Katut too, so there's that game. And then Ziri's games are hidden, and SOT games, I think they're hidden as well. Actually didn't search. SOT. Oh yeah, only one game is public from both those sets. And yeah, I wish we had more for you guys. Seasonal's still a big deal. It's a single elimination tournament. Pretty much anything can happen. And the last slot for qualifying for seasonal could be very, very tight. Ziri and Pills both could be able to both could be able to take my lowest seeding slot at the moment. Turns out, I think last time I said Pogis was lowest seeding, but because of how your worst seasonal gets dropped, he's going to have more points than me before this current seasonal is factored in. So oh no, because then I'm stupid. One of them could be eliminating Pogis, which would be a pretty big deal for either of them to kind of break into the PU scene. Plus, it's just the general PU circuit. Tasker and I were talking before Untier Talk. We were like, PU doesn't necessarily come around one tour because we've never had any big tours or anything. So I really hope people like get interested and follow the circuit playoffs when those comes, because that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be the biggest thing PU's ever had. A whole ribbon tour for it. I think at this point, like more important than Slam, the one Slam. So yeah, get excited for that. I hope next round there's a lot of fun stuff we can talk about, but unfortunately, not. Yeah. Hajad, you kind of missed the entire episode. Is there anything you want to say?
Gimmick corner. Hello. That's not the entire episode. The entire episode is the gimmick corner.
Oh yeah. Okay. You have 3 minutes. Hajad's gimmick corner. Go.
So basically, I haven't prepared anything for the gimmick corner, so I'm just going to take a quick look at the VR and introduce my gimmick.
All right. While you're looking, Tasker, anything else you want to say? Because we were like, Tasker, come on as a guest, and then we didn't even have anything for you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chairman. Gimmick corner.
Not Chairman, please. Why is Chairman the meme now? I don't get it.
I don't know. That was from a long time ago where Dips made it, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry we had you on, and then like this is the lamest episode ever.
I've been on a couple of times anyway.
Okie doke. Hajad, you got anything?
I have a couple of suggestions which you can.
One thing, real quick. Go. Best one.
Hold on. Because the first thing that came to head was defensive weakness policy Lilligan.
No.
That was the first. That was the first thing. But I think.
Spadaf?
No, Fizdef. So you can like take the U-turn from Togedemaru.
Oh my god!
Right. You activate the weakness policy. You quiver dance, and you quiver dance again and again and again, and then you win.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so the one that I'm actually going to choose is Choice Banded Absol, I think.
And this is supposed to be like better,
So,
like over Stoutland.
okay, no. Here's what choice banded Absol does, and it pursuits trap stuff, right? It in cases where you didn't think it was possible to pursuit trap something, you can pursuit trap something now, and it can also do that via its priority, like scaring something out with a sucker punch. So let's say you have a Togedemaru. Togedemaru is not staying in on an Absol if it's at a certain range of HP. Maybe you'll U-turn it on it if it's at 100%. But in many scenarios, you're not going to be clicking. What's it called? You're not going to be clicking
U-turn, yeah.
or whatever. So you
Okay.
can just pursuit trap. You can pursuit trap stuff like that. More commonly, what I've seen it being able to use to is pressure Sableye. So Sableye is one of the only fighting type resists that you don't necessarily pursuit trap, but after a pursuit from Absol, if you switch it on.
Okay, but why Absol over Skuntank? Just knockoff, I guess. Is that much
knockoff
worth?
power.
Yeah, I guess it's stronger. It doesn't seem that bad. Like I think it would work. I just can't really see myself going, you know what I need on this team? Banded Absol. Nothing is gonna fit this niche. Like I feel like I'd really have to design around it to make it warranted. But like sure, it seems like it can work, and honestly that's kinda how Absol is right now anyway. Like you don't slap it on teams. It has to really be like the focus.
Yeah, there's loads of like not necessarily physically strong Pokemon that you can trap. So like stuff like a Abomasnow, you can probably trap an Aurorus if you really wanted to. Jellicent is obviously the king daddy of PU at the moment, so he can get pursuit trapped quite easily if he specs. You can probably even trap the Fizdef set, honestly, if you break the Colbur. But yeah, I think it's just like and Lantern as well. Lantern takes a dump. Destruction.
I don't commit the destruction.
Destruction. Yeah, that from Pursuit. Also,
okay. A Lantern that's just 0/0, like no HP, no defense. Which is like the old AV set. I don't think that's what they're running. Versus an Adamant Choice Banded Pursuit. It does 42 to 50 if Lantern stays in. So if it switched in on rocks, then it dies after Pursuit. And I will say, I do think people underrate Pursuit right now. Like I'm finding it really nice recently because Mesprit and Healing Wish is really good. And oftentimes people are like, I'm gonna get my Mon knocked down to 5%, but get the kill, and then I'll Healing Wish it later. And I feel like that's something that we could exploit a little more. Healing Wish has been a huge part of the meta since day one, but there's not been a ton of exploitation on preventing or playing around Healing Wish or making it like a bad thing to do. It's more like, okay, I got to be prepared, to take on the Girder if it gets another chance at winning. But it's not like, how do I make it so that he can't Healing Wish the Girder in the first place? I mean, obviously, Girder's not the mon you pursuit trapping. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, if you think about it on like a less linear scale, so let's dial back Pursuit.
No, you can't. You can't go on a very long tangent. You have 1 minute.
Okay. So let's dial back the Pursuit feature. I feel like Pursuit's more of a feature than the thing that you sort of use Absol for, because on top of Pursuit being like ridiculous, like really good, you can also use Choice Banded Knockoff, and it's actually an effective breaker. Like the only decent switching, from what I can tell, is Poliwrath, and if you run no Sucker Punch or you don't run Superpower, you can run Play Rough in that final filler slot.
I bet Banded Superpower does $1 billion to Poliwrath, especially like if it's coming once, you knock off lefties, come back in again. Banded Superpower probably too counting. Anyway, thank you all for listening. We're gonna cut it. It's not even short. This is 25 minutes. That's not bad at all, but that's where we got to cut it because I have to run, and I'm the one who actually does the recording and editing and uploading and stuff. So thank y'all for tuning in. And please send in suggestions, send in feedback, send in how much you love Ajad's Gimmick Corner, send in your replays of the physically defensive weakness policy Lilligant putting in work, and we will see you next week.